So now we continue on to the second part of the color tutorial. And I'm starting out again with the color wheel that we had in the previous one. But in this one, I'm actually going to be talking about something called the 60-30-10 rule, which is mostly talked about in association with interior design rather than graphic design or web design, but it has its application in graphic design and web design as well. And so that's what we're going to be looking at. But let me say the most important thing first, which is that in graphic design, web design, in fact in all areas of design, black, white and gray are a designer's best friend. So now let me repeat that. In graphic design and web design, black, white and gray are your best friends. They are your best friends. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that after we look at the 60-30-10 rule. So basically what the 60-30-10 rule is all about is that they say that if you have a lot of one color and about half the amount of a second color in relation to the first color, and then a small amount of a third color, then you will have a very effective color design. So if we look at this, for example, what they have here is they have a lot of orange, they have a lot of blue, and then they also have white. Now here in this case, for me, this is not exactly 60-30-10. This is more like maybe 70 orange, and then 15 and 15 blue and white. But it's still nevertheless, because of the huge amount of orange and far less of blue and white, this is something that actually works very well. So let's look at another one. So here, for example, and this is actually from a graphic design page, so we might take a look at that after we've gone through this. So it's showing us a room. 60% is a very dark charcoal gray, 30% is yellow, the curtains and so on, and then 10% is the white, which is this bedspread, and then the rim around the mirror and the lamp and things like that. So again, we see an application of that. But I'm curious, I just want to take a look at the site because I hadn't noticed this before. So this might actually be a good site for you guys to take a look at as well. So let's go back to here and look at a few more. So this one, for example, this is like a really good example. White is the predominant color, that's 60. The gray is the 30. It's about half the amount of the white that we have. And then the orange, there are very small amounts of orange, the curtains, the painting, and then these two pillows here, and that would be the 10. So let's look at one more. So here we have a huge amount of blue, that's the 60, obviously. We have white, about half the amount of that in white, so that's the 30. And then we have these violet pillows, and then also this painting here, so that would be the 10. So the 10 is the violet, the white is the 30, and then the blue is the 60. So it works like that. Now, like I said, this is mostly associated with interior design. You won't find too many pages that relate to graphic design or web design or things like that, but I have found a few. So we have it here, and this is about graphic design, and it's explaining how to select your colors and what percentages you should give to them and so on and so forth. It's talking about that particularly in relationship to logotypes, I think. I haven't looked at it very carefully. Then we have this one here, which is about UI design, which is a subfield of graphic design. And then if you scroll down here, it'll immediately get into the 60-30-10 rule. Like, we need to go down a little bit more. The rule of 60-30-10. That's where it starts talking about that. Again, in this website color scheme page, they are talking about the 60-30-10 rule further down. Right here is where they are talking about it. And then we have this quite old-fashioned website. This is an old website, I can tell by the way that the interface looks, which gives a very, very good explanation as to how this should be applied, and also has some other interesting links up here, so if you want to take a look at that. So let's go to the color wheel again. Now, if you remember, what I had done in the last tutorial is I had saved this palette because I said I might want to use this in a future tutorial. So it's still here.
And what I did with those three colors is that I actually made one website in which the 60-30-10 rule is ignored, and I have equal amounts of the yellow, almost equal amounts, not exactly, but almost equal amounts of the yellow, the pink, and the blue. And then I made a second website, because I actually made these two websites to kind of prove this point of how well the 60-30-10 rule actually works. And that's this one here. And in that one, I have a predominant color, which is the gray. And then the other colors, the pink, the yellow, and the turquoise, are getting used in much lesser amounts. And it varies from page to page. On this page here, I'm actually, the 60 is the gray, and then also this is a very, very low saturation, so this would kind of be a part of that. The pink and the turquoise are the 30 together, and then the yellow is the 10, and that turns into an accent. And then when we look at the other pages, I have the same thing happening on those pages as well. The 60 is the gray, and it covers a huge amount, and then the these three they're pastel, but they are primary colors, make up a far lesser amount. Now, there are a lot of videos, and I'm going to link them actually to this post, where they are not exactly, posts that talk about the 60-30-10 rule in relationship to graphic design, and they are not really making a very big deal out of the fact that in interior design the 60 is usually made out of a neutral color, and then the 30 and the 10 are more contrasted colors, or they are actually hues and not muted colors. But for me, in my experience as a graphic designer, I have always found that gray, black, white, these neutral colors are actually a designer's best friend. And the more you have of them, and the less you have of strong colors or strong hues, these are pastels, but they could also be stronger, then the better off you will be. So let's see, let's go to the fourth page, where again we have a lot of gray, and we have this would be the 30 in this case, and these here would be the 10. So the yellow and the blue turn into accents, and the pink, well, we have more pink down here, but then we don't see both of them at the same time, and then the pink would become the 30. Now let's look at the same page here, and here we have an equal amount of color. When we look here, and well, we have more blue, yes, but still, when we look at these together, we have an almost equal amount of pink and yellow and blue, and also especially when we come down here. And you will probably agree with me that this is not working as well as this one. When you have large areas of muted colors, of grays or blacks or whites, those are really going to help you foreground the other bright colors. These real hues, these real colors will become foregrounded, they will become much stronger, they will become more emphasized, and also having large neutral color fields is going to help you with your typography and your hierarchy. Even though some of this typography is actually on colored backgrounds, it will still help you having less color going on. Like, let me just come back here. When you try to read this, or try to read this, and then try to read this, there is a difference, because your eye is not getting distracted by the other color that here, when we try to read this, we are at the same time being distracted by all of this bright turquoise that's here. And here, although it's the same pink background, we are less distracted because this is a muted background color. And then the rest of this text I have put on that background color anyway, or rather on a darker version of it. So let's go back to the food thing, and let's go to the food thing here. Again, here it is harder for us to see the photographs. Here it's easier for us to see the photographs, especially, let me scroll down a bit, and then let me scroll down a bit here so that we're almost at the equal place. We can see these photographs in a much better way because we don't have a lot of color on this page, only in small amounts, so only like 30% or 10%, as the case may be. And here we have a lot of color, and that makes it much more difficult for us to focus on the photographs. So I would not be too concerned about, and I am not too concerned about it myself when I'm actually designing something, about keeping these exact ratios of 60-30-10. My experience is that actually when you have less of the 30 and the 10, so if you have, let's say 70, let's see, 70-20, what would that be? Yeah, 70-20-10, or even 80-10-10, or 80-15-5. In terms of percentages, that will probably work even better. The less that you have of the strong primary colors, the more successful I think your design is likely to become. Now, but this is my experience, this is what I'm saying, because there are other designers, and also really good ones, and instructors who are saying different things, where they are not making such a big deal out of the primary color, the 60 being a neutral color, and I will link those videos as well because I also want you to have other points of view as well. But my point of view and my experience is that the more neutral colors you have in a design, in a graphic design product, the more successful that product is likely to be, the easier it will be to read the text, and also the small amount of the bright colors that you use are going to be much more powerful because they will be much more emphasized. So I recommend that you also watch the other videos that I'm going to link onto this post, but that's it from me in terms of 60-30-10.